Welcome. This talk is titled The Road from Negative to Positive Passes Through Nothing. Like the other addenda in this series, this is an offshoot of my first talk about a societal disease called Dopa-Money and its tainting of American healthcare. We'll begin with a disclaimer. Unlike my other videos, this one doesn't involve as much art or cats, or any scene changes for this matter. It requires thought. That's unpopular, but okay. Good, in fact, a constructive reaction to daily absurdity. And of course, I'm not speaking on behalf of my employer or profession. People spend so much time complaining nowadays. A recent complaint in my office is the parking garage. It's too small, they say. Is the parking garage really too small? Or perhaps is it that our trucks and SUVs are too large? Perhaps because our bodies are. Indeed, when we're not talking garbage about others, modern humans spend most of their time eating junk food or raving about junk food and junk ideas. I listen to a lot of average people, and most of their existence is occupied in one of two states: an anger state, denigrating others or claiming victimhood, and a lustful state, raving about junk food and junk ideas. In other words, garbage in, garbage out. What got us here, and how do you respond? Well, most people respond simply by joining this anger lust tragedy. The cancer is spreading, and contemporary technology is accelerating our undoing. Some people do try to help, but their help is ineffective. It amounts to either saccharine propaganda or hubristic engineering. We all see through these fake fixes. While misguided and intoxicated, modern humans are not naive. Some people turn to religion for answers, but no religion has been proven able to solve the dopamine problem either, because religion generally provides either an answer that's too vague or too specific, one that is contingent upon which human tribe you were randomly born into. This is not to denounce religion or religious people, and I will be the first to admit that I am in no position to proclaim that God does or does not exist, let alone speculate on any details beyond this question. However, we do know that regardless of whether God exists, and to be honest, no one really knows, we must confess that religion is by its nature a human invention. While to believers it may provide ultimate answers, it seems to fail to answer more proximate questions about the nature of our existence and the practical challenges of our lives. In particular, all religions fail to prevent us from confronting dopamine. To be clear and fair, militant atheism, a prime example being communism, has also proven itself to fail, and worse. I'd like to argue that the solution from real negativity to genuine positivity requires a journey through nothingness. And that begins by recognizing that the anger state, garbage out, and the lust state, garbage in, so many people seem hostage to, are not unrelated. These states are in fact two sides of the same disease process. The lust state is dopamine, a biopsychosocial disease that is a marriage between unchecked capitalism and pleasure circuits, accelerated in the 21st century due to high technology. The anger state is simply a withdrawal phenomenon from dopamine because, like any drug, the high is non-sustainable and a crash ensues. Consumerism by people and commodification of people are two sides of the same coin. You think you're the one consuming, but in reality, you are the one consumed, including by healthcare. You become angry, but ineffectively so, and identify scapegoats and bad solutions. Welcome to our cyberpunk culture of high tech and low life. But don't catastrophize and propagate the disease. To treat, you must diagnose first. The diagnosis is this: we are all victims of dopamine, some more than others, and those who seem to be the greatest perpetrators of dopamine are generally the greatest victims of all. This includes the big orange man and his friend, the big green man. Dopamine is a disease cycle rotating around consumption, pleasure, degeneration, and pain, only leading to more consumption. And in the end, we get consumed. This is no different from war, with its cycle of perpetrator, violence, victim, and hate, causing the victim to become a perpetrator. This war is active but silent, killing us slowly. We ought to have sympathy, not anger or disgust, for those who are afflicted, and that's everyone. This disease affects people from all walks of life. Neurosurgeons like me drill into people's heads, but few neurosurgeons actually drill into foundational questions about existence. The result is that most of us neurosurgeons are no less addicted to dopamine than the common man. There's a stereotype of neurosurgeons as narcissists who are addicted to their skills, accomplishments, and even the pain of their work. To be clear, neurosurgeons are way more than this. We save lives and solve impossible problems. But at the same time, this stereotype does have some basis in reality. And like everyone, we all have weaknesses that show. Neurosurgeons consume the same junk food everyone eats, just in a different form. We may know the brain better than you, but our minds are just as dumb. Dope-Money gripped us all indolently the past several decades as our society drifted away from conventional sources of morality, such as the church. Superficial pleasure circuits, accelerated by unchecked capitalism and technology, filled this void. Rather than a means to a greater end, superficial pleasures became ends in themselves, and their enabling tool, money, also became an end. Hence, Dope-Money. With Dope-Money as an end in itself, it's putting us to an end. One solution is to return to past conventions. But how is this possible in a pluralistic society? And how is it possible to return to the past when even the most fervent believers don't believe what their grandparents believed line by line? Let's be honest. Our grandparents were not as right or as happy as those who lust for the past believe. It is easy to get a lot of angry people together in one room and vote for more anger. But such anger is self destructive. Once anger is in charge, there are no more scapegoats, and anger's true inadequacy is revealed. How do we find common light out of this darkness? Because for a society to function, one must share some common conception of what light is. To find that answer, we need to think outside our box of false dichotomies. The truth is neither positive nor negative, but nothingness. We live in Plato's cave. We are not in control. Neuroscience tells us this. Our entire experience, from our senses to our identity to our consciousness to our will, is simply a dance of electricity inside our heads set in motion by billions of external forces and only existing for a flicker in time. Every thought, every choice, every label, every achievement, every failure, every pleasure, every pain is just a web-like shimmer from the billions of neurons in your skull that you imagine as you. You are an illusion. This is a fact of neuroscience, not an opinion. You have to engage in make-believe to disagree. The glass is neither half full nor half empty. You are just a droplet. And you're not in a glass, you're in an ocean. Actually, you're not even a droplet at all, because you don't exist, at least not the way you thought you did. This realization of nothingness is the first step out of Dope-Money, as it provides us a diagnosis and a reset. When every aspect of our existence is found to be imagined, anger lust is recognized as just a bad dream. We become stripped down, the nightmare ends, and we ride the wave. The wave cleanses us of all those arbitrary things that shackle us the most. But besides cleansing, the wave has a second effect on us. It provides us with a perspective. Even though we are nothing, as a matter of fact, our experience is something. We have a post-material existence, electric and fleeting, not in real control, but still capable of having impact. Dust is our origin and destination, but now we think, and thus we are. We experience pleasure and pain, and those are real, albeit imagined. Once we acknowledge we're in a dream, we can live a better version. Through life experience, we learn that no pleasure is as good as pain is bad. Therefore, relieving pain is our highest pleasure. But after we learn that it is arbitrary which body you occupy, we realize that relieving others' pain is just as essential as relieving ours. And so serving humankind becomes the highest pleasure, the greatest virtue of a society, and to the extent that it is possible within our existence, the only true freedom. My freedom is giving you your freedom. Whatever is not freedom, and that is everything else, is slavery. This perspective, provided by riding the wave, shows us that human suffering is everywhere, and it is arbitrary whether we found these pain switches on or off. Therefore, we recognize that failing to relieve pain is little different from causing pain. Enlightenment causes lost innocence because you are too awake and capable to call yourself an innocent bystander. This reawakening is actually good for us because it instills renewed purpose, genuine confidence, and ultimate freedom within the constraints of our existence. Confronting the truth of nothingness both strips us down to our essence and at the same time builds us up. Adopting the identity of a wounded healer, continuously striving to heal the world, including ourselves, even though our work will never finish, is the purest expression of freedom. To Christians, Jesus Christ is the ultimate wounded healer. Similar messages flow from religions and philosophies across time and space. To both devout and to non religious people alike, this realization should instill genuine faith in humanity's ability and need to heal together, especially now. We will never agree on the ultimate nature of the universe, nor on the best tasting food, but we absolutely can find common ground in a working model for mutual flourishing situated somewhere between the immediate and the ultimate. Inspiring confidence in our ability to achieve shared emancipation are two fundamental virtues that we humans have always had in common as sentient but vulnerable beings: truth and love. Truth is the light of fact and reason that imparts reliable order to our lives as intelligent beings in a world with natural laws. Behold the fact that for all our missteps, life has become better the past several hundred years. The human mind works. Love is the warmth that brings reliable peace when we're with each other. The hate speech you write online melts away once you look your fellow human in the eyes. The human heart works. Truth and love provide faith in ourselves and each other. Once we see how brief, small, and meaningless our existence is, the possibility and necessity of something meaningful arises. We may not be authors, but we can be damn good agents of virtue. And so we become both proto-human and superhuman. We get caught up in too specific and too general versions of ourselves sometimes. We become neurotic through the first misstep and lost through the last. In more granular detail, we witness where we went wrong as a society. In the beginning, we were right to value freedom, respect, success, and happiness, but we wrote an imperfect draft. What really messed us up was not this imperfect draft, but the fact that we abandoned this draft altogether and replaced it with a far more corrupted version. For example, while freedom is rightfully essential to our identity as Americans, it is our perverted conception of freedom that allows tobacco companies to intentionally kill millions of people each year. That's because contemporary Americans define freedom as merely choice making. Choice is indeed a necessary requirement for freedom, as without it, there would be coercion. But equally important requirements for freedom are knowledge and power. Think about contracts. Exercising freedom is no different from a contract, and contracts require both reasonable knowledge and equal power to be valid. The tobacco industry thrives on such a hollow definition of freedom. It conceals the full hazards of its products, stripping people of knowledge, and its products are addictive, stripping people of power. And so our society's weak, corrupt misconception of freedom allows the tobacco industry to murder and torture millions each year right in front of our eyes. In America, we make it far easier to kill than to save lives. As a surgeon, I must get your or your family's informed consent before I can save your life. But the tobacco industry doesn't have to provide any sort of consent before it massacres and maims millions each year now. But if you listen to my first talk, you'll learn that healthcare is relatively, but not categorically different from the tobacco industry. We are all ensnared by a corruptive misconception of freedom, some of us more than others, and Dopa-Money fills the void. Freedom has always been essential to Americans' perception of our country, but let's be honest and admit that we've never had a great working definition of it. Think about how many groups of people in our country have been mistreated under the guise of freedom. And that's not simply nicotine users and minorities. It includes anyone who has ever consumed food, ever had a health condition, or ever been employed. Every American has been harmed by our corruptive misconceptions of freedom, respect, success, and happiness. So the notion that we can be great again is tragically misguided. In summary, to unshackle ourselves from Dopa-Money and regain our humanity, we must first pass through nothingness, then return to foundational questions, and then provide answers that are genuinely positive. These answers share a common thread, that there is a relationship between morality and freedom. Freedom is the exhaustive striving to do the right thing for humanity, regardless if it is you or your fellow human who feels the effects of your action. Your rights are so inalienable that even you cannot sell them. This may sound fresh nowadays, but we're talking about an old and universal idea, the golden rule, that religions and philosophies across time and space independently share this intuition is reason alone to have faith in humanity. From Greek principles of virtue to Enlightenment conceptions of duty, freedom, rights, and higher pleasures, to modern acknowledgement of nothingness and its implications, the specific ways of solving the mathematical proof of existence may be different, but they all share a common thread. Good things lie somewhere between the near and the far. But beyond this common blueprint, the vast differences in belief systems across time and space, just like the arbitrary nature of identities in general, remind us that while our motives must be pure, our eyes must be sharp, and they must always talk to each other and evolve. The internal and external are not mutually exclusive. Not only do we need to ask questions about the nature of freedom, respect, success, and happiness, but we also need to supply answers that are healthier and more tenable than the version we found. Rather than abandoning prior drafts, we continuously rework them, and we become okay with this because this is real freedom. Because we can never see, achieve, or own the right thing, freedom is more a state of mind. We become re engaged in our experience, but removed by 1 degree from the arbitrary particulars of it, because the particulars are neither in our control nor have moral worth. And so, the philosophical concept of reflective equilibrium is similar to the psychological concept of flow, as well as Darwin's theory of evolution. That's because truth is not confined to one discipline. We find ourselves by losing ourselves in the struggle of life. Freedom is captivating, ironically. By letting go, we are both out of control and in control, more free than ever. Every moment is an opportunity, some answer to a question. What's the right thing to do? Let's end by going back to the complaints about our parking garage being too small. What's your answer? Join the complaint about the parking garage? Add your own sob story? Yell a personal insult? Offer some junk food? Engage in group lust about junk food? Walk by in silence? Devise a parking garage expansion task force? No, simply tell the whole truth and share pure love. And it's this: the parking garage is not too small. Our trucks and SUVs are too big, and most of our bodies should shrink, just as all our hearts and minds must grow. Actually, you're right. The parking garage is too small, but we can change it. So let's move on to something worthy of our lives. To see real light, you must see darkness. But once you see real darkness, you learn that's all there is. And so the only way to see light is to be it. And so the road from negative to positive must pass through nothingness. By admitting we are nothing, perhaps we can be something. Thank you. And Lucy and Ethel too.